everybody, and welcome to the Prodigal Sons. This is episode number 13, and I guess I'm doing the intro now, if that's, how this is going, because Tom hasn't said much tonight. He came here, he's all dressed up.
Woo! You know I'm all excited, boys and girls.
Wait a second, that's not Tom.
So,
Jason, where's Tom?
So Tom actually texted me, and he decided he's taking his life savings. He moved to Vegas. He's going to live at the penny slots and on all-you-can-eat shrimp buffets for the rest of his...
All-you-can-eat shrimp buffet. That sounds like a good 15
He's going to spend
minutes of
all
fun.
$5.87 that he had to his name, and we should see him, I don't know, in a couple of days, I think.
Will he be wearing a Rivsters t-shirt and scooping ice cream as well?
Hopefully. I'm hoping he's back by Thursday, because I'll need to get to Rivsters for some ice cream.
Well,
I need a crate. Banana Foster. Amazing.
So, all right. Let me ask you, Jay, when you went back into the costume room and found that, what did it smell like?
It made it smell like Tom's hot dog that he had.
Because that's been around since like 1983 and has never been worn.
Smell like Nana's closet.
I was going to say mothballs. Mothballs.
Old hot dog water.
Hot dog!
Jeez, that's not the very best of it.
All right.
I got that.
Thank you, Josh.
So this is episode number 13, and hopefully we'll have some good stuff for you. But I just want to go around the table real quick. We have Sean Conroy.
How are you?
We have Jason Sipe.
Yes, sir.
We are down a man tonight. Tom's not feeling well. He is in the hospital, and he's being attended to. And hopefully he'll get better real soon. All the prayers in the world.
Love
go
you,
out
guy.
to him. And I think we're calling it ministry. He's doing ministry.
He's actually watching right now.
That's what I'm saying.
He told us we were late.
He told us we were late.
Yeah.
So you're late already. He's late.
Tom is taking the show on the road.
Yes.
That's how we're looking at this. Tom is taking the show on the road. And
He's texting us.
He's texting.
Making sure we know that we're late.
Listen to him. I'm always 5 minutes early.
And so, and we're actually, we roped in a member of our studio audience from last week, and this is Elijah Griffin. Say hi, Elijah.
Hello, I was the only studio audience member last week.
No, there was two of you.
there?
We got one of them over there right now.
That's right. I'm sorry.
one
I apologize.
So,
I apologize.
world's smallest studio audience. It's all coronavirus
It's gotten
related.
smaller.
It'll get bigger after we're back in the green or blue or whatever color.
I want purple with pink polka dots.
Purple, pink polka dots. I think that means a go.
All in.
And then we'll have a bigger studio audience, or maybe 3 people. Maybe we just find some
We should
people on the
rent out a
street.
stadium.
Rent out a stadium?
Yeah, like Royersford's like high school. Maybe we can just use their parking lot or something.
Hey.
We'll get more people to the games than we will.
So, Sean, what do you want to do first? I don't know. I'm kind of flying blind here without Tom. You want to do the game, or you want to do a news story?
Let's go with the news. News sounds good.
All right,
I need some good news. It has not been
Is
a
there
great
such thing as good news?
All right, somebody give me the news sounder. Did you know that Nathan's famous hot dog eating contest will go on this year, but without spectators?
All right.
So instead of
So who gets puked on?
like 15, and also the contestants have to be spaced out more than they normally are. So I think there's usually 15 contestants. This year there's going to be 5, so they can observe the social distancing.
It's like 50 yards.
So they can observe social distancing. And they're going to eat the hot dogs in the park, but with no spectators at all. Doesn't that just seem to you like it's just 5 sloppy fat people eating hot dogs?
By themselves.
We might as well just do that here next week. I mean, that's about as good as it is.
I think that's just called Tuesday.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
No, Tuesday is pizza day now. So.
Yeah, Tuesday's. I think that's Thursday night in the park.
That's Friday night before the high school football game.
That's just. I think I've seen that at every tailgate I've ever been to. It's like 5 guys eating as many hot dogs as they can.
Mustard and relish all over it. Oh, it's disgusting.
So, just in case you're wondering if the hot dog eating contest was canceled, it is not. It is still as disgusting as
Glad to
ever.
know that is still going on.
Yep.
I hope it's on like ESPN or something.
I think it usually
Is
is.
ESPN the Ocho?
This year, very little sports. I bet it makes ESPN 2 at least.
So,
No.
all right, so we got Roger and Bonnie are in. Pete, nobody cares that you're here.
But the
Sorry.
have you ever watched a hot dog eating contest? I don't think I've ever seen it.
Bowl. Does that count?
No, it doesn't. That's not
That's
a
not
hot
hot
dog.
dog. They canceled the wing bowl
I've seen
now.
the highlights of it when they dip the bread in the water.
It's disgusting.
I
think I'd rather watch lawnmower racing.
think
That's
I'd rather,
pretty
rather watch grass grip.
Yes, Carl. Brunish is still there in Pottstown.
Oh, yeah.
Hot sausages are the best. Hot sausages are the best from
they are
Brunish's.
pretty good.
World famous.
We talked about this before on the show. It's probably the creepiest place to ever go. It's like
But you gotta go
floor
downstairs.
basement. It's like under the house, dirt floor basement. It
Yeah.
smells like balls and death.
Yeah.
Is this the sausage place you're talking about?
Yeah, Brunish.
Yeah.
We're gonna have to do a field trip, like a show there.
I've never been
And
there, but
do a
I've
show
heard
from
everybody who
inside.
drives it describes it exactly the way.
And they
we are
always
right
say, don't go by yourself if you don't want to. Don't go by
Take a
yourself.
friend just in case.
We used to skip school and go there for hot dogs. It was two for $1. That
was a long
skip
time
school.
ago.
90. Yeah,
Three
that's what I
for
was
a dollar now.
saying. Yeah, right. No, they went up.
now. They get cheaper.
Heck of a hoagie though from there, man. They're heavy.
What's the hot sausages?
They make
heavy.
cheesesteaks too.
Yeah, they're loaded.
Never
It's
had
good.
one, but I know they make them.
That's funny. That's funny. So Lizette said she was just there last week, so that's good to know. They're not closed for social. If you've eaten in Brunish's, you can't get COVID-19.
Yeah, that's just a site in its own. That's just wow. You go in there, it's like, yeah. Look at his face. But you went in and ate anyway. You didn't talk about good.
No, somebody brought it to me.
Yeah, you've never been there for the
You haven't had the
experience.
pleasure of.
I don't want to.
Oh, you gotta do the full
I'll go
experience.
next- I'll take you next.
Yeah,
week.
you.
Go for lunch.
Oh, you gotta do the full experience. Oh yeah.
You know, I lived in Pottstown for 10 years, and I never even accidentally drove past this
well,
place.
this is really not
Well, yeah,
somewhere.
you have to know where it is
Yeah.
to go there.
You-
It's like
I feel like there's
on a side street.
It's like Illuminati. Like
It's
you
like
know,
a knock on the door,
like a-
shake 3 times, and
Kind of.
Is that? I used to live on that street too. I can't think of what.
I forget what that one is back there, but I know it's a block off a beach. And I
Yes,
forget.
one block
Lincoln?
off.
Is that Lincoln?
Yeah, it's
That-
Lincoln.
that might be Lincoln.
Lincoln. It is because you
Where
know
the
what?
bank is
That
and the-
school right there, that actually is now an old folks home. That it was.
Yeah.
I used to go to.
See, when I used to
pre-K.
walk up that street when I lived in Pottstown, I used to walk up that street to go to work, and it would wear me out because there was always a dude out there in the summertime with a trench coat on.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And I was like, "Yeah, you look real nefarious, bro." Let me cross the street this time because I don't trust you.
Jay, you gotta go pick up Collar and bring it.
okay. Enough about bad places in Pottstown. How about good places in Pottstown? How many of you went to Rivsters last week?
How many of us have not been there?
Okay, how many?
Show of hands. Who has not been there?
Oh,
no,
Sarah
Our-
behind.
Oh, Sarah hasn't.
Our producer Sarah
Do you
Beecher
guys-
needs
do
to
you
get
not
to
read the text
Rivsters.
when we go there, like we do a production meeting there and everything else.
Okay, so
You don't text me.
Oh, man.
See,
Ooh.
Well, that's because Dave's the producer.
What-
So I have to just show up. And
what's going on right now is Sean is trying to upset Jason. That's what's going on right now. We have never done a production meeting at Rivsters, but Sean likes to tell
I know,
Jason that we do.
but see, I was there before Dave texted
Oh, yeah,
about
that's
having
what
it.
I
I
told
was
you.
already
all
there.
right.
Oh,
But
now let's get off because Dave.
how many of us were there? Had a straight streak last week, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. I was there all 3 days.
I was
yeah.
The
Yeah.
coffee's amazing.
Oh yeah,
Coffee's
we drank them out of
amazing.
coffee.
I think
I've heard the crepes are
about
good.
22 gallons. of
That was
coffee.
bad. Every time I looked at you, you were getting up in the refill.
Yeah, I drink the coffee by the.
What's Tom's daughter's name?
Emily.
Yeah. So I went up to Emily. I ordered a coffee, and she goes, "So do you need me to get it for you?" I said, "Yeah, of course I need you to get me the coffee." She goes, "Sean doesn't need
I
me to
just go back and
get."
get
Sean
it.
just
Yeah,
goes
no.
past me and
I
tells
just walk back. So, all right, showing.
So it's Emily who made the-
runs a tab at Rivsters every time they're there.
I didn't know this was a thing. I didn't know you could run a tab.
I do. I run a tab because I sit there for like 6-7 hours.
I feel like if this keeps going the way I think it's going to go, I'm pretty sure I'm just going to give Tom access to my bank account.
Well, I asked them because they're going to start doing food and smoothies and stuff. I said, should I just get my paycheck directly deposited into your account and make it easier for both of us? And,
Yeah.
So you go
see,
next door, get a hot dog, and you come over there. Emily was the one making the crepes, right?
Yes.
Good job, Emily.
I've heard the crepes are good.
I had
I've heard the crepes-
I had a banana Foster's one.
I heard. I wouldn't know.
Why wouldn't you know? If you had the streak, you mean to tell me you didn't
All right.
try something?
All right, I
different?
tried it. It was delicious.
Okay.
Pretty sure, because I've not seen any of you guys typing, I'm pretty sure that Tom is self-promoting
Yeah.
from Paoli Hospital under the name Prodigal Sons in
Yes.
the comments.
You can tell.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he didn't even change it over to his own name. He left it in the show name,
Yeah.
so nobody would know that he was promoting. Tom, we love it, and we'll be there this weekend. But you know,
Will you?
Hey,
put your own name.
for once, Tom, you can
Discount? Discount? What?
for once, Tom, you're allowed to have your sound up during a Prodigal Son show.
Yeah, you can talk all you want.
But the other thing is, I do have to tell you, Tom. Sorry, you might need to order some more ice cream. I did find the keys to Rivster's. So
His daughter said we'll be trying to
Sorry.
get Puerto Rican dishes in also.
That's his sister.
Or sister. Sorry, sister. He's got a lot of
He
family.
does have a lot of family.
Speaking of, before
Well,
we get
before
in,
you say, how's mom? Because she hasn't called in today.
that's what I was going to say. You know, he's on his cell. We have prayers out today for, well, one, my dad, I was here last week for my testimony, and went back with my dad, and he went to the good Lord on Friday. And he's up there smiling down on us now, and he's proud of me. I know that. That's why I'm here with these guys. But then Tom is in the hospital, and also his mom is in the same hospital. They were just sent. Tom's been in there. This is his third day. We miss you, buddy. But his mom's down there. She had some problem with her appendix. They raced her right down there. So that's prayers for that today.
So Betty's currently out for labs and CT scans.
Okay.
Yeah.
miss you get back quick.
So, and I have my aunt, she's over in Pottstown. We just found out she's got cancer that's spread. So we'll be looking for prayers for healing in that as well. It's just been a week of getting smacked in the mouth, it seems, from all angles. But here we are, and we're together.
How about a little fun, Sean?
Let's try and have some fun. So, we are going to play Never Have I Ever. So, if you have done it, do not raise your card. If you have never done it, raise your little magic card.
So, like, just for an example.
So, never have I ever eaten at Rivster's.
Sarah don't have her
So,
card.
nobody can put that up.
Okay. So, like, never have I ever pronounced an R. You would raise it.
No, I can't because
Never.
Oh,
if you have done it, you keep it down. If you've never
all right, fair enough.
raise it up.
I get confused with this very, very simple game.
All right. Never have I ever stayed up for more than 24 hours. We're all dads. I don't know any of us.
Yeah.
24 hours.
We're all dads.
I'm glad you went with the dad
This was
part.
before the dad
I was gonna say.
I partied a lot back in the day, like days on end.
Let's work backwards. We're all dads. Okay. We've all worked at camp. We've all
prodigal sons.
Yes. We've all worked on projects and stuff that required up all nighters. We've all partied. We're all prodigals, and then we were all at teen camp at some point. And
Yeah, I went
So
to,
here's a good one. Never have I ever re-gifted a gift that was given to me.
got a little bit more class than that.
I missed that by like this
But you know
much.
why though?
I
just
did it all
did
the
it.
time, and it was an accident. I didn't really mean to.
And they
Accident.
How do you
I
accidentally?
thought it was something that I bought for myself, and then I was like, oh, well, I could give this away because I bought it. And then after I gave it away, the person who gave it
Jason.
to me was at the
No,
same thing
yeah.
and said, didn't I give you that? And I was like,
World's
no.
smallest violin. I ain't believing
I
it.
think we did it this year for the first time.
Oh,
we told
did.
the person.
We did now, so he's going.
Oh, you gonna throw your wife under the bus?
I'm pretty sure it was her idea.
Wow.
With her on the
Man,
Run her
you
over.
beat him now for
Run her over with
Lisa?
both axles.
Wow, wow.
Run her over
back
with
to
both.
right up.
Yeah, I think we told the person though. Hey, somebody gave us this, and we have. Actually, I think we gave it to Pete. I think it was a kid's toy.
Oh, that's all right.
It was a kid's toy. We
Oh,
gave
yeah,
it to Pete.
That
We're like,
don't
yeah.
count.
I re-gift stuff to him all the time.
That's not a gift. That's called showing up in the middle of the night.
All right. Never have I ever been skydiving.
But I want to go so
Yeah, I do
bad.
too.
I do too.
So bad.
My dad went.
Maybe that could be
one
an
of his
episode.
bucket lists.
It might be the last episode. Shot.
Well, you heard the story about the guy over here in Limerick that happened to, right?
What was it? Gilbert?
Oh, yeah, it was a while ago.
Jim O'Brien.
Really?
The,
Well, I don't know if we're allowed
the
to say a
newscaster.
name. What
Yeah,
happened?
that's
The newscaster. He passed away years ago.
Did you say newscaster?
The newscaster.
Okay.
For Channel 6 News, because my grandfather actually watched it. My grandfather used to live over on Kime Street in Pottstown, and every Saturday morning we would go over to my grandfather's, and my dad would wash his truck and stuff. My uncles would come around, we'd watch, and we would watch the skydivers in Gilbertsville, because you could see them from his house. And he actually grabbed a hold of another man, and they could have both survived, but the guy didn't want, Jim O'Brien didn't want to hurt the other guy, so he cut himself away and ended up dying.
Wow.
Yeah, passed away. That was years ago, 80s.
So, just Sarah, give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down. Do you think we could do like the intro to a show after jumping out of the back of a plane? Like, you think we set up the?
Here's the question.
On
Can
the
we set
tarmac
up?
once we land?
No. Can we set up the mics that when we jump out?
Oh yeah, live. We
Yeah,
just
But doesn't she
yeah.
have to follow us with the camera?
I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
I don't know, though. I'll
She
tell you
says
what.
thumbs up. Let's do it.
Everybody being in the hospital and sick and stuff like that, I don't really think it's real smart for me to go skydiving right now, because
you know
my
what?
luck is just not good. I'll be in there with Tom, probably not making it back out though.
You know what? I didn't. I got hit right out here on 422 9 years ago. I was on a motorcycle, got hit by a drunk driver. So I didn't ride a motorcycle for 9-10 years, something like that. And then this COVID thing came out. And I'm like, all right, you know what? I'm getting a bike.
I'm gonna get 3 of them.
Yeah. I'm like, I'm
That's
getting
what I
a bike
want.
again.
My son told me I can get a bike now,
Yeah.
so I want to.
Yeah, but he said
was like, you know,
bicycle. You
I-
mean that?
no.
It's like if I get killed like just laying in bed coughing, like I'd rather just be on a motorcycle.
Yeah.
So let's go skydiving.
All right, let's do it.
All right, never.
Never have I ever eaten an entire pizza by myself. You two are lying.
Not lying.
I so don't believe you.
I can't.
You know what though? They're saying they don't believe us.
No,
but they
listen.
don't believe me.
But listen, here's the thing.
I've got.
Are you wait? You got to be more specific. Have you ever eaten an
Oh,
entire
come on,
pizza in one setting? Is that what
Even
you're talking
that,
about?
Yeah, you're talking about it in one sitting, in one shot.
So grab a pizza like
Nah,
that.
I mean I've probably.
If you're talking about one sitting, no.
Yeah.
I'm the only fat guy.
Yeah.
I
I've
like
given
it.
a valiant effort. I think I've done like 5 or 6, but that's. I mean, I have to go back for the rest.
Valiant
of it.
effort. That's not even honorable mention.
Yeah, I didn't. If I had
Listen,
the
he just
water,
called himself
I could have
fat.
dunked it in the water.
He
And
just called himself fat guy, but somebody just posted. I won't say his name, Tom Rivera. That he looks like a small guy. Sean looks like a small person.
Tom, I just didn't want you to feel left out. He's else today.
he's anchoring the show.
Just for you. Trying to make everybody think you're still here.
Yeah, you're still here. Oh, Carlos is what size pizza? I guess.
Yeah.
What
Yeah,
size pizza?
like, I mean, I
a large.
Like a large.
A large. Oh man, you
Large.
are so
Large
size.
Domino's.
I was in college, and there may have been some
Has everybody been
Some medicinal-
prodigal son medicinal purposes?
medicinal products going
Nice,
on.
did you have lobster and clam on it?
No, I'm allergic to shellfish.
That's right. Now you are.
Now, I wasn't then.
But that's what I'm saying. Then you
I
weren't.
used to eat a lot of fried clams back in the day. But
How did you know he was allergic to shellfish?
You know why? Because we
Where did that
talk,
come up?
we
We just went
talk,
through this
we
last
converse.
Because we were at his
So
house.
if you weren't,
just-
no.
we don't just show up here.
If you weren't there, then clearly you don't want
Just
to be
like
a part
production
of what
meetings
we
we
have
don't show
going
up
on.
for.
Hey, I am at 4 places. Okay, I'm only ever at 4 places: my house, my work, here doing the show, and at Rivsters. Okay, catch me at one of those places.
All right, let's
Catch me outside.
So, never have I ever been bungee jumping. And again, because I'm a fat guy, on a rubber band.
That doesn't matter.
I don't even want to
See, I would.
I remember in
I
ninth
feel
grade
you.
science class, we used to throw the eggs, and you had the rubber. Like, I remember this did not work out well with the eggs. I'm not giving that a shot. Sorry.
Yeah.
Fat guy on a rubber band.
I would try.
They only stretch so far.
I'm sure science has made them
And
stronger.
even if it works, you know, you're going up higher than where you started.
Oh
You gotta come
man.
back up again, and then drop again.
Yeah.
It's a constant up and down, up and down.
I
I'll
have
try-
this feeling that if a bungee cord caught me and saved me, that thing needs to go to like the Hall of Fame for bungee cords.
Retire it.
Yeah, you act like you weigh a
Save it
ton.
forever.
Don't
Your
I?
head maybe, but I would try skydiving before bungee jump. Bungee
Yeah.
Oh,
jump.
absolutely. I'd go skydiving.
I think I would.
Yeah.
You know
I'm
why?
Sure if my shoe does
I know-
something, I'll have a heart attack before I hit the
Yeah, they say you'll have a heart attack first
No,
before you
it's
hit.
definite death.
Yeah, yeah.
You don't have to worry about just like
That's
partial
not
death.
actually true.
I'd be the guy that shatters every bone in his
Yeah,
body.
there was a man that actually lived that way. He skydived and he
And
landed
everything from the
perfectly.
shin-
Well, he landed perfectly flat, so it just all out. Yeah, he just ended up.
Here we go. Never have I ever eaten out of a trash can. Oh, nobody even moved. Nobody even reacted to that. I expected at least one of us to hold up. I was homeless for 6 months, so mine makes sense. I need to know why you guys were eating out of the trash can. I do. I need to know.
I just think I did not too long ago. I threw something in there, and I was like, you know what? There's nothing wrong with that. So I took it back out and I ate it. I was like, you know what? There's nothing wrong with this. Amy might think it maybe it's been sitting here for a day too long, but I'm going to eat it. I just recently. And I was thinking about because I'm watching your screen, so I'm looking at it. And I'm like, no, I didn't care. I gotta be honest. I didn't know these guys were going along with it either, though.
I did not expect that.
We should have played this game last week because last week I'm pretty sure I would have held up the sign. So I don't think I did.
He's right to that. He just did this.
I think the kids threw a bagel away.
Wow. On the floor for a couple of days.
I was homeless for 6 months.
But you all got like other excuses. You just did it.
I have no excuse. I have no rhyme or reason why I did it. I just know I did it. I'm not gonna. We're sitting in the church. I'm not gonna lie about it.
This last week I threw something away that I didn't mean to. I was like, I threw the wrong thing away, and I reached in and got it.
That's probably what I did.
But I remember having a
Look at his
thought.
eyes.
I don't think I've ever done that before.
I'm dying. I'm like,
That was funny. That was funny. that was
never have I ever talked to myself out loud in public.
Yeah, that's just part of normal life.
especially in this day and age.
All right. I find this that I don't think anybody's going to raise on, but I'm going to ask anyway. Never have I ever eaten Taco Bell after 10 p.m.
When else are you supposed to eat Taco Bell?
I don't know. If you're not drunk, you should not be eating Taco Bell.
I thought, is Taco Bell open during the day?
Breakfast now.
You know,
Yeah,
they
Yeah,
do.
it's just like after.
But I know what you're saying because
Afternoon, when you get your breakfast.
No, the
That's
breakfast.
for the people that are still hungover from the night before.
No,
They're just
they
getting
do
up in the
dinner.
morning
They do dinner from 10 to 2, and then breakfast from 2 to 4.
Oh,
Damn.
I know why you asked if they're ever open for that early because like in the city, most of the Chinese restaurants they don't open until like 1 or 2 o'clock because they're open until like 3 or 4, maybe 5 in the morning. So they don't open until like 2.
So-
Taco Bell tastes like vomit.
So,
to me.
Kyle, you eat Taco
bunch
Bell
of
after
filler.
10 o'clock every single day? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah,
Carlos said kids throw good stuff away.
I watch my kids throw away.
I do not allow my daughter to throw her pizza crust in the trash.
Oh,
She's
my
like, Dad,
God.
I'm done. No, you're not.
Daddy's
Give me here.
All right, so I'm going to end it with
Just one more good one.
this is the good one. Never have I ever peed
Oh
myself.
my word!
Come on, man.
Give us an age.
No,
give us
no,
an age
no,
range.
no, no,
Say
no,
like
no,
after
no,
15.
no,
No.
no.
Because you drank.
Why did I say 15? Why did I say?
Because he doesn't have a position after 15.
I think everybody's peed themselves as a little kid.
No, I gotta say the worst time ever. I was dreaming like I was in school, and I was in school.
Oh, this is the one like 2 weeks
It was
ago?
probably no. Amy would have told you if it was that. It wasn't. You're sitting there and thinking like I'm standing in front of the urinal. Next thing you know, you're like, whoa, oh, yep.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah,
I did it in a bar one night. I'm not even.
I didn't want to get
I
up
was
there.
hammered, sitting in the bar stool, and I just said, whatever. And just let it go.
I feel like this show is a lot more holy when Tom's here. Tom, we need you back.
But it's definitely getting a little out of control with this.
I think the last time I peed myself, I was like 7 years old. So as an adult, I have never.
Oh man.
As an adult, are we doing
Go
it
for
as
an
an
adult.
adult? or
Yeah,
no?
yeah.
No? All right, I'm the only one?
Yeah.
No, I did. I drank too much.
Yeah, no, that's gross. mean, I'm not gonna lie. I used to do that at bars all the time. I would just pee right on the bar while I was sitting there.
See, that's
Bonnie just
see?
as Dave might have, just as he was sitting here
I'm
laughing.
staying out of Massachusetts. Everybody does that.
Did you
Too?
really just admit to that?
Tom, don't delete that. Come on, Tom. Delete that.
For those of you who can't see our screen,
Oh, you got it. He pooped himself 2 days ago.
2 nights ago. That's disgusting.
He was probably in the,
Didn't know till he
was
woke
in the-
up.
Was he in the hospital?
He is in the hospital.
That don't matter.
But that's what you know. What it
Why
was?
his nurse to
You
wipe
know what
him?
it was?
Claire's not around. He was wife.
Too much ice cream. Stop eating on the job, Tom. How about that?
Maybe not enough.
It was liquid diet in the meds.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, we'll go with that.
TMI.
Well, he hadn't eaten in 4 days, and they pumped him full of meds, so I'm pretty sure we can give him a pass. On that.
No.
There's no poop pass.
No poop pass.
No.
No poop pass.
Sorry, buddy. I tried to get you out of that one.
Yeah.
We'll have Jake come up there with the pressure washing.
Yeah.
Poor candy stripers.
So I think Tom was saying that was the worst part about being in the hospital, that they couldn't get any visitors. I wanted to dress up as a nurse, or actually a candy striper, and come see him. He told me I couldn't. What were you going to dress up
I was
as?
going to dress up like Batman.
Yeah.
And just walk in and see if they let me. You know how like hospitals let people in like that to see the kids unit?
What,
like,
crazy people?
No, like, they let like people dressed in characters go to like the kids units and
Do
stuff
they?
you know, watch those videos.
No, I don't watch things.
So could I go on this Candyman?
Yeah, I don't think that'll work. I don't think it's just like superheroes and stuff like that.
Oh, superheroes.
Yeah, like they let them into like
Jack Nicholas, The Shining.
He wasn't a superhero.
Jack
It wasn't a
Nicholson.
superhero. It was a super
Jack
burger.
Nicholson.
Jack Nicholson.
Nicholson. He was a golfer. I got you. Nicholson.
Johnny.
Nicholson. Yeah, he was. He was playing against Palmer and
Yeah.
Norman.
Here's Johnny.
Right? Yeah.
Ay, ay, ay. All right.
Having too much fun.
Yes. Pastors away, the mice will play. Always got to be about Pete.
Pete, you're like 25 feet away. What
I
are you
know.
talking
Just
about?
because you had to go home and babysit, you can't hang out doesn't mean it's our fault.
It's not babysitting when it's your job.
He's home doing Zumba. Don't let him fool you.
He is doing baby Zumba.
he's
He's doing
working.
mommy and me
That's
Zumba.
what I'm wondering. Is it baby Zumba he's doing, or is he doing regular
Oh,
adult
no,
Zumba?
it's kid Zumba.
It's mommy and me
That's all we can
Zumba.
keep up with.
5, 4,
Yeah, but he's the
3.
me, right?
Here comes the
He's
excuses.
not the mommy.
Here comes the
He's the me.
excuses. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. He'll be coming with excuses.
Well, we're on a 30-second delay, so you're going to have
Yeah.
to do a little more time.
Yeah, you need to do
More.
35 and 4, 33. But the so
You guys see the cup I got, right?
yeah, these are the prodigal sons.
Clearly, they just threw me in the mix. So
And,
it's like, they don't
What does
care.
that say?
It says solo. 'cause
Solo.
He said he
don't
didn't
got a
even get
solo cup even. I
cup.
said, all right, well, here, it's solo.
I hope my uncle's watching this. He's probably laughing because that's what he said.
So if you were paying attention to our schedule, and really, why would you? You would know that tonight I was supposed to be me doing my testimony, and I did have it prepared. I was ready to go, and then Tom, who's been begging me to do that,
I just thought you wanted to change it because I didn't think you were ready. I thought you had forgotten.
no, I didn't forget.
How can he forget his life?
Well, I thought you forgot it was his turn. And
Nah.
he was like, oh, let's change it. The last time.
No, Lisa told me that I couldn't do it. She said I couldn't do it because Tom is the one who's been pushing for these testimonies.
Here comes his kissing Lisa's butt for what he said earlier.
This is like the third time you threw your wife under the bus
No,
today.
this isn't throwing.
See,
No,
you
this is a
say
good
it's
one.
throwing
This is a
it
good
under
one.
the
No, this one's good. She was honest. She was right. You should have stuck by with what you did. That's a man's thing to do. We all need to do it together. And that's what you said. That was awesome.
So she said Tom is the one who's been bugging you to do it, and it's not fair to Tom to do it when he's out of the room. So
real quick, was that said she saw Tom from the she was in the
Yeah.
parking lot, she saw him with the window. Was that next time? I have a paintball gun. When it comes to the window, it's lighted up. And you can watch him poop himself.
And tape it though. Tape it. Tape
So we
it.
can show it on the show. We appreciate that.
for ministry purposes.
Ministry purposes only. We only do this for the love of Tom.
For the love of Tom.
So I sent these guys a message this morning. I said, well, why don't we just do a show about, because it seems like everybody's sick right now. There's a lot of people in the hospital.
More than just COVID.
Yeah, outside of COVID, there's a lot of people who are just sick and suffering right now. I thought we could do a show on, just talking about some times where, God has brought us through times where we were suffering and we were sick. So, I know Jason wanted to go first.
Yeah. I don't know about so much healing for sickness wise, but health wise, as in what's going on with like life.
Yeah, and by sickness, I mean mental illness,
Yeah,
suffering.
I know you would pick me to go first because I'm mental. I know.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks, buddy.
That's kind of what I was going for.
I'm glad.
Gotta start somewhere.
Yeah, well, actually, my mental health has been really crappy lately. Thank the Lord for these guys here. Even Tom sitting there making all these smiley faces and laughing. You know, it wasn't for these guys being there for me. It's been tough trying to be there for my stepmother. And, you know, I'll tell you, last week was very awesome. And I thank the Lord for giving me the strength. I don't even know if I broke down yet, but I do know that if it wasn't for me sitting there looking at God every day, looking forward to Him for His strength, you know, it's really been tough. And thanks, buddy.
Just gonna leave him here for you.
I even and then hearing about my brother Tom in the hospital, I know exactly what it's like when he said he didn't want to go to the hospital because my dad has been in and out over the last year or so. Just there were so many times he was in there and we couldn't even hear anything from him. So I know what Tom's going through and his wife and family. It's hard, but I just keep looking to the Lord for everything. And I thank God for these guys, especially when Elijah stepping up. It's just funny because we talked to Elijah on Saturday about him coming in and stepping in, but I did not know that the Lord was going to have to send Tom to the hospital and we would need Elijah.
But isn't that interesting? Ever since the beginning of this podcast, right when we got the equipment, we needed the equipment and nobody else could have it. And, you know, we all learned about the Zoom thing. We got that right on time in order to do the Zoom for the shutdown. We, even to the point where he told the guy, the extra guy, that, hey, we might need you to start filling in and stuff. And so he had like one day to prepare, and then Tom's in the hospital. So God's been providing.
I think you got him an hour to prepare. I think we told him as he walked through the door today, like at 6 o'clock. Oh, by the way, yeah, you're on air.
Yeah, he's born ready, though.
Good thing you were ready for that.
He's born ready. So Pastor Pete sent us this verse today. I was going to read it from James 5:13 to 16. Is anyone among you in trouble? Let them pray. Is anyone happy? Let them sing songs of praise.
Amen.
Is anyone among you sick? Let them call the elders of the church to pray over them and anoint them with oil in the name of the Lord. And the prayer offered in faith will make the sick person well. The Lord will raise them up. If they have sinned, they will be forgiven. Therefore, confess your sins to each other and pray for each other so that you may be healed. The prayer of a righteous person is powerful and effective. I remember when my mom went in for a air quote routine quote unquote heart procedure in 2010 or 2011, and she had a massive stroke on the table, and she was in a coma for I think it was about 7 days, and she ended up having really nobody thought she was going to make it, but I just remember people from her church just kept coming in. Her pastor would show up. Her pastor knew she was in a coma. Her pastor was a very busy person, and you know he would still come in a couple times a week and just sit there and pray with her. And I was there almost every day. I'd drive in from Pennsylvania every day, but you know, people from her church just kept showing up, and they'd introduce. I didn't know who they were. They just introduced themselves, and hey, I just want to sit here and pray with her. I just want to talk to her for a minute, and I was pretty discouraged that she was going to get out of it. But I mean, it's 2020, and she's 60 years old. At the time, 59 years old. She wasn't very old when that happened. It's 10 years later, and she's across town right now watching all three of my kids.
God bless her.
So, I mean, prayer is powerful. And I remember that, you know, just taught me that she had a heart damage. She had a stroke, massive stroke. I mean, it was a long recovery, but God really used her story, and really showed me the power of prayer and the power of belief through that.
It's funny how you're talking about it like that, and then when Tom said about his mom, and I went to grab my shirt tonight. You probably can't see it on the camera, but I grabbed the first shirt, and it's Prayer Warriors, and that just was just amazing to me, and it was awesome being able to spend the time with my father last week. And I have to tell a quick story. He was just so worn out, like his face just was so gone, and I was sitting there, and he had his bed in the room with us. In the living room, we all were just sitting around him and talking to him and stuff. And the bed had rails, just like a hospital bed. Mm-hmm. He had his hand out, and I went and I held his hand, but he grabbed me by the finger and like pulled it like to his chest, I thought, to hold him. This man grabs me by the wrist with the other hand and bends my finger back and almost breaks my finger. And I'm stuck in this bed, like, and my stepmom's son and my brother are sitting there laughing. And I was like this, and he just, I mean, he's on his deathbed, only hours away from passing, and he laughs at me, and I'm like, man, you still got me. Like, are you kidding, dude? Are you serious? Like, and I mean, and then they're laughing at me because I'm whining because I felt it all the way up to here. I'm like, oh, and they're laughing at me. But it's just the power of the Lord just being able. I told you guys before the show that, you know, one of the reasons I didn't want to go down and see my dad was also my truck is on like his last leg and stuff. But I got home Sunday. I got to spend the whole time with him. Got to go down and help move the bed out of her house for her, and come home. And yesterday my truck won't start. But you know what? I know that the Lord's going to heal it some way. There's something else in there, and that's the biggest thing. Is always asking God what it is and what we need in life.
Yeah, he's a pretty good mechanic.
Yes, he is. He is the master.
So, for me, I didn't share with my testimony when we first started this. One of the first things that got me thinking about I was living my life in the wrong direction was when God sent me Teresa, my daughter. She was born 3 months premature, and we weren't sure she was going to be born at all because we were at Phoenixville, and the doctors told us that her and her mother were going to die. Like, they were both going to die because of her mother's diabetes and stuff. And we were freaking out. We were losing it. And then they like get her in an ambulance. Like, oh, just follow the ambulance to Lankenau. Like, we were in Phoenixville. We'd go all the way up to Lankenau on the main line. And the whole way there, I'm just losing it. And, you know, she's in the ambulance. I'm trying to follow. You know, and they're in the ambulance. They can go through red lights and stuff. I can't. I did anyway.
I was going.
Yeah.
You know, so then
You did that getting the pizza tonight.
yeah.
Yeah. You didn't, just saying, you didn't
He
need
doesn't
to
want to
add
have
that to the
himself.
story.
He wasn't. He doesn't want to be honest and get arrested right away. You know, for being honest.
So, you know, the whole way there, I'm thinking, you know, I didn't want to say it because I wasn't a Christian, and I was still very angry with God at the time. And but I'm sure somewhere in the back of my mind, I made one of those promises, one of those, God, if you would just do this, this one time, things will change. I don't remember saying it, but I'm sure I must have at some point. If not, God heard it anyway because here she is. She just turned 9 in May. We got to Lankenau Hospital, and the doctor, like, we're crying, we're holding each other, we're a mess, like snot, all the time, like everything. And the doctor comes in and he's like, "You guys all right? Like, is somebody die?" And we're like, you know, we told them what they told us at Phoenixville, and the doctor goes, "Yeah, you can stop that right now. Nobody's dying on my watch. We're gonna get you guys through this now." Because she went, the mother was, she went in the hospital about 2 months before Teresa was born, and he said, "Well, you're gonna be in the hospital until the baby comes, but nothing. You're both gonna be fine. Everything will be fine. Don't you know, to put that away." So that, you know, just seeing stuff like that where God, you know, even when I was that far away, I was pushing him so far out of my life and so far away from me. And he still was like, you know what? Nothing bad's going to happen. I got you. And then, you know, to be here today with you guys and, you know, with Tom, you know. I mean, I think that was probably one of the first times I really had to look at my life and be like, man, what are you doing?
How much longer did it take?
A while. It wasn't an overnight transformation.
No.
It definitely was the beginning. I think that was one of the first times I really had to look at my life and be like, man, is it worth it? Is it worth living like is this what I'm doing? And to have God bring them both through that. After thinking I was going to lose both of them, it would just be me and Andres after that. You know, to be that close and then God say, nope, not today. We're not doing that. And then to bring her around. Here she is, 9 years old. You know, we're having a good time. We all hung out.
It's good. She kept KJ very
Yeah,
occupied,
they had a blast.
and
She was
I
asking when
loved that. I was so
coming
happy.
back. She was asking about that. She said, when are they coming back for more food? I'm like, I don't know. I don't know how much salmon I can get between
Well,
now.
you gotta get more because Elijah loved it. But like when you bring up your daughter, for years, my mom, like I can sit up here and say I'm not perfect, And for years, my mom would say, you need to go back to church. You need to go back to church. And I'm like, no, Mom, I don't feel like it. Like, I can pray when I leave home. I can pray at home. I don't need church. You need it for fellowship. You need it for fellowship. And I'm like, I don't need to go back to church, Mom, because I was raised in the church. I was, and so when she got sick, I still didn't go to church. I was just, hoping. I was hoping, not praying. I was hoping she will pull through because she's done it several times. She, got past it and she pulled through, and and the time where she was like slipping away, my daughter was almost born, and the one phrase that I think I've heard from everybody important that's passed away in my life is, I'm tired. When they say I'm tired and they're church-going people, that means to me, that means I'm tired. I'm ready to take my place with the Lord. I fought the good fight, but he's calling me home. And she would say, I'm tired. She was like, I'm tired. But she was sick. My daughter was sick. And my mom had cancer, so I couldn't bring her to see my mom. So when I was finally able to bring my daughter to see my mom could barely hold her. We put, KJ on her chest, and my mom kind of put her arms around her, and the very next day she passed. So I know her faith was strong because she was praying to hold on. You can't tell me she wasn't praying to hold on to see her last grandbaby, see her last grandbaby before she went to glory. And after that, of course, I agree. I'm still grieving. I'm still mourning the loss of my mom because it wasn't that long ago. But eventually, what echo in the back of my head is, you need to go to church. You need to go to church. You need to go to church. And eventually, we started coming here for just dodgeball. And like I said before, Pastor Pete's a bloodhound for people who knows they kind of need that little nudge to bring them, back on over. And he didn't hassle me, but he knew.
Come up with a better analogy though, because bloodhound seems too cool.
When you're bringing people to the Lord, that is cool because you're doing God's work. So I can't get you to have me fold on them on that one. A tick, no.
Is Elijah going to be able to be?
No, I don't know if you're going to make it.
I'm not brown nosing. I'm born brown. But listen, so what?
We make fun of Pastor Pete here. We don't.
I was making fun of him.
All right.
I was making fun of him earlier.
Yeah,
but
not
City of Bloodhound. That sounds cool.
Yeah, right.
Come on.
But
oh man.
But fast forward,
Sinner.
He started, talking to me. He could tell that I was, he could tell that I was a child of God, but I kind of lost my way. And eventually, I started coming to church. Then Elijah, my kids started coming to church, and we started to come to church as a family and
became members together.
And I just felt like it was where I needed to be when I needed to be here. And I'm blessed and thankful because through all the things that we're all going through right now, or the things that we've been through, I have you guys to lean on. You know what I mean? And it's, like my brother, he always tell me, man, your church family is important. They're important. You know what I mean? You don't want to share certain things with people out in the world that aren't church going, that aren't church going people necessarily, or children of God that don't believe.
Dude, you're fired already.
But
you're fired.
Tom
fired you.
Why
did I get fired?
Tom,
you're fired.
You don't pick old Pete. You got to pick old Pete.
You got to learn. You got 1 week to clean up your act. You
got fired.
Well, you have to ask me back. But that's pretty much where I am with it all, with coming back to Christ. If it took for me losing someone to bring me back, whereas though you didn't lose anybody, but it restored your faith, and you've recently lost, but you've already had faith, and so I can't believe I got through that without shedding a tear. Whenever I talk about my mom, I always cry.
Yeah, that's
always
a
cry.
staple of the show. Somebody loses it at one point.
Sean, you and I have a really similar story. I knew where you were going as soon as you started talking about Teresa. When my last
show is terrible.
Can we get a
Stagehand!
Can we
No,
get
I'm just
the-
joking.
can we get
Andreas,
the
we need water.
Can we get the assistant producer to bring the guests some
Yeah, what
water?
are you doing? Like you are like.
We need half. You're the producer. He's the assistant producer.
Thank you, sir.
Oh, okay. So the producer's
Oh,
leaving.
thank you.
So, in case we have any video issues here,
It's gonna explode.
this ship is steering itself at this point. But my youngest daughter, Abigail, we had picked out a couple of names, but we hadn't actually figured out which was going to be the first name. Actually, I forget what her middle name was supposed to be. But we'd had 2 other kids before her, and simple, easy, fairly predictable deliveries, and Abby she didn't want to come out, and it was kind of a complicated delivery, and it just got to the point where, we were having some issues, and they couldn't get a heartbeat, and we were trying to figure out what was going on, and I was kind of feeling that story as you were telling it, because I don't know about you. That's like when you're just totally out of control, when there's nothing that you can do. I just remember I was just shaking. I was just sitting there shaking, going, there's nothing I can do, nothing in my own power that I can do. And that's just when I was totally dependent on God. And we just sat there and we just prayed, and they took Lisa off, and they sliced and diced and got a baby. But I just remember being so completely overwhelmed after that situation that when we actually had to fill out the name on the birth certificate, I said, honey, I don't care which name comes first, but we got to name her Abby. So I said, we got to put Grace in there, because that's God's grace. Mm. And so that's why her name's Abigail Grace.
So, Elijah, this is why we come after Pete. He just said for Andres to put soap
So, but
See
you
why
know
we-
what? But you know why I didn't respond? Because the devil wants me to.
Because
And I'm not going to respond.
boy.
And I'm going to leave that one well enough
And
alone.
for
Because
grace
I
and
see him,
forgiveness, too.
I see him sometimes trying to play volleyball at the Y.
Trying.
So if I really want to get him back,
he was very good.
if I really want to get him back,
Oh, now he's getting mean.
I'll record it and show it at church so everybody can have a
give him a
laugh.
Wilson tap.
I think
like one right in his face.
No. When they see him play, everybody will
laugh, it'll be
laugh.
enough.
And it'll be okay, especially with his, like the bird legs and the
I thought
knobby
he was
knees.
Bird legs.
Okay, you know what?
Lots of bird jokes.
I think we just decided to extend your contract.
Yeah,
Thank
At least
you.
one more episode anyway. So, but it's funny because you say, you related, and when Elijah was talking about his mom, like Teresa is named after my grandmother. And obviously Teresa was born early. She was in the hospital until 4th of July weekend. She was born in May. And she had to stay in the NICU for quite some time.
Wow.
May what?
May 23rd.
Okay.
She was in there for 7 weeks, something like that?
Yeah, so from May 23rd till July 3rd.
Wow.
So, my grandmother, we had found out who was brought me to church as a kid, who was my spiritual foundation as a child. She had stage 4 lung cancer, and she was dying. And we named Teresa after her. And I wanted to get her up there before my grandmother passed. And it's kind of the same situation. Teresa's stuck in the hospital, then my grandmother's sick. She's in the hospital, so we couldn't make it happen. And finally, August, we were able to get up there, and she got to see her. And as soon as we got there, she was crying. She didn't want to hold the baby because she didn't feel like she was going to be strong enough. And I witnessed my grandmother. She was a Catholic. She was a true believer. I witnessed God give her the strength to hold that baby for 2 hours.
Wow.
She played with her. She kept her on her knee. She held her. She played. She kissed her. I think the baby threw up on her. All that fun stuff that great grandmothers get to do.
Thank you so
much. And then my grandmother, she passed in November of that year. So a couple months later, she passed. But she did refuse. She died on November 1st. She at 2 o'clock in the morning. Because she refused to die on Halloween, she was not going to let the devil. She was not going to let the devil win, so she decided to die.
Strong Catholic, huh?
So yeah, she waited till 2 o'clock in the morning on the first. But when you said that about your mom, that really again it brought me back to that situation. To watch God do things that it wouldn't have happened any other way.
Right.
God had
like my mother, she couldn't even text me. She couldn't even text me, but she did move her arm to cover her grandchild. And, that, whenever I think about that, because it's crazy because my family, my bloodline has strong genetics. Like, my daughter acts just like my mom. And this is going to sound weird, but she is the most annoying, loud, obnoxious, indecisive, yet caring.
That doesn't skip
Loving.
a generation.
Yet caring, loving, everything. And that's my daughter. Like, she is just, she has to be the center of attention.
Must be her.
My
So you're saying that those traits went straight from your mom to your daughter?
that's exactly
that's what you're saying.
That's exactly what I'm
Yeah.
saying.
Okay.
That is exactly what I'm saying.
And you got it too.
Yeah.
It's all about you.
No, I'm like my dad. My son's like my dad too. Like with an 11-year-old, it's like, hey, what do you want for breakfast? I'll just have some tea and some toast. Get out of here, Grandpa. What are you talking about? Get out
I
of
can see
here.
Elijah doing that too. That's
Yeah, he'll sit there.
like crumpets too.
Yeah, like, come on. Then he'll sit there and it's like, Father, I'm British. No, you're not.
See, one of the things for me with the healing is like just losing my dad. I feel like a jerk that my kids, they don't really watch this show. I would love them to, but sitting there listening to him, and then when you said about your daughter, the Lord, like when you sit there and look at some of the things you did in your life, even though we are called the prodigal sons, and that's what we all come from stuff. Like you think about some of the things that I've been through, and I'm like, how it's so amazing that the Lord got me through it. I didn't even remember it. My daughter, when she was born, she's 22 now. She had actually went to the bathroom inside my wife, and I couldn't do anything for her. So like when they poked my wife's water to break, she had stuff inside that she couldn't, and so I couldn't cut her umbilical cord or anything like that because they immediately had to take her over and suck out the stuff because it would have killed her. Yeah. I didn't think of that, but it's like more the Lord showing me that I don't have to remember those things. He's got them; they're still good. And I was just praying. Saw Sean. I almost got myself in some trouble 2 weeks ago. I made a little bit of a fool of myself in front of my children. They work and they're older now, and I made a jerk of myself. But seeing the things though that I've come from and what I do with them, the Lord, how He has changed me, and the things that I used to do to now, like that healing process is like sitting here like I'm just waiting to break down for my dad, but at the same time I just see how the Lord has me so strong, and the people like of church and my brothers here on the stage, and the people that are watching us praying. Prayer is powerful. And that is one thing that I've learned. And sitting there watching my dad, and like you said, he told us. He told his wife on Monday night before I went down Tuesday. He said he's done. He's tired. And my dad fought for 3 years with cancer. It was complications from cancer, and just he was like we had to feed. She was feeding him through a tube, and he's sitting there trying to pull the tube and all that. And then like I asked the nurse, I said, we haven't been given any nutrients. We're just pain meds. And they said, like, the amazing that God does with your body. Like, your body picks up, the brain picks up, and knows where to send things to your body to adjust with that. Versus, we think you're starving them, but your body picks up. Because God's such a great creator that your body knows how to adjust to those things. So I'm sitting there thinking, we're starving this man. She's like, no, your body sets it up. And it's just amazing. Like, looking at these things, listening to the stories, and then thinking about my daughter, God's a great healer. And being what I went through with my daughter and listening to you guys, look where we've come from. I mean, even Tom being in a hospital, his mom there. And to me, that's kind of more powerful. Like, okay, his mom's right there with him in a way.
Yeah.
And God's creating that.
I was sort of wondering if she just wanted to visit him so bad that she just got her.
I was wanting to get rooms together.
I don't know.
I wonder if they got the same room,
Yeah.
It's
I would have picked something a little less than appendicitis, but
God bless them.
Broke a toenail. or
My
something.
knee hurts.
Yeah.
Hangnail. I don't know.
Arthritis.
But
if you guys don't mind, I would like to share one more story. It was from when I was a teenager, and it was I did a lot of prodigaling before I
I think we all did.
But
I wasn't perfect, but I was
here we
actually
go.
pretty good.
Oh, here comes Pete. He's on you again.
I was actually pretty good. I had my faults, but I was pretty good.
Wait,
Yeah, right.
Are you just gonna jump in? Okay. Don't believe your brother.
Pete, pray for this man. Pray harder.
Cool.
Pray
He's
harder.
not praying for me. I said he had chicken legs and couldn't play volleyball.
Yeah.
you're in trouble.
I'm
I mean,
out.
you went hard. When you went in, you went hard for that.
Go hard or go home.
Tom's trying to get on the floor with his mom. They're working on it for him. So go ahead. But you were saying.
No, so it was the first time I remember, even though I wasn't close to God at the time, I really remember. It was a time when I was struggling with trying to decide if I was a Christian or not. I was about 15, I guess. 17, somewhere in there. Sure. It's 2001. 16.
Yeah. You were sure his age. Oh,
I
that's
had to do the math. I was 16. But God showed me the power of prayer one night. And it was a night of the Jets were playing the
Everybody looks away. They play?
Back when the Jets were good.
Oh, Joe
They were
Namath?
good?
No.
Yes. They were good. Actually, they did make it to the Super Bowl around then, didn't
And
they?
Joe Namath
They
guaranteed.
did actually in
The Jets were
2001
good.
around there.
That was
'Cause
like
my buddy,
1972.
Me?
Two AFC championships.
but my buddy Aaron
Well,
Beasley played for him.
1972, you weren't even born yet.
He was watching when they were good on the reel to reel.
Oh, he was watching.
The projector.
Oh, yeah, the projector. Yeah, slideshow.
Viewmaster.
Wow.
So the Jets were playing the Oakland Raiders in a big game.
Rough
Were
crowd.
they in Oakland?
I don't remember.
Ah!
It's not pertinent to the story.
Okay, I'm sorry.
But I just remember I was so excited to see this game, and it was Sunday afternoon, and the game was going to be Sunday night. I was really excited to see the game, and they were doing something at church that night. We went to church in Trenton, New Jersey. We lived in New York City, so it was an hour and 15 minutes away. My two brothers were going to go to New Jersey to go to this church function. And I'm sitting there in the afternoon. I'm watching the 1 o'clock game. Probably watching the Giants get beat by somebody. I'm watching the 1 o'clock game, and God is just speaking to me. He's like, "I want you to go with your brothers. I don't want you to watch the game tonight." And I wasn't even really close to God at the time, so I thought that was a little strange. And there was some speaker at the church that night with some college program trying to sell Rutgers. Not as the Christian program at Rutgers. He just came to try to get people involved and go to this school and whatever. And I'm like, I don't even want to go to Rutgers. Like, this has nothing to do with me. And so I listened. God just kept telling me to go. Kept telling me to go. Kept telling me to go. And my dad at that time, we all lived in a house. Sorry, this story is kind of choppy, but we all lived in a house with my dad and my stepmother and my stepbrother, my older biological brother. And so my younger brother and my older brother, they were going to church, and at the last minute I said, I'm coming with you. I don't know why, but I'm coming with you. And so I went with them. And I couldn't figure out why I was at this church program. I thought it was crap.
Not like a peak service.
No, it was not. Oh, you said kind of.
Not like a Pete
No, I
service?
thought you said not like a Pete service. I was actually going to. The service wasn't. There was nothing special about this service. There was nothing special about what happened that night at church. And as the service wrapped up, I go, I have no idea why God wanted me at the service tonight. And we get in the car. My dad had this rule: when you get in the car and you're on your way home, you call us. Mm-hmm. I call my dad, and he picks up. And I said, "Hey, Dad, we're on our way home." And he said, "Who is this?" I said, "It's David." He goes, "Is this Wayne Duncan's son?" And I said, "Who is this?" Because it was a landline. And it was, "This is Detective so-and-so from the New York Police Department, and you can't come home." And I had a couple of friends who were police officers in that neighborhood. And I called them up, and I said, "Get over to my house and figure out what's going on." And they said, "That's your house." And I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "I hear helicopters. I hear fire engines. He goes, "Is that your house?" I said, "I don't know, but a detective just answered my phone." And so I had a friend who was a cop who went over there. He called me back. He said, "You are to go to your mother's house." I said, do not come home." And I said, "What happened?" He said, "I'm not really sure, but there was a brutal attack here." And he said, "All I know is your stepmother's ex-husband is involved." He said, "You need to go to your mom's house. We're not sure what happened." And that's basically what we knew. He said, "Everybody's in the hospital." He said, "But he told me, he said, there's blood everywhere." And so that was a really weird experience to me, because we had to drive an hour and 15 minutes with my brother, who had just gotten his license. He's 18 years old. I'm 16. My little brother's 10. And here's three people who had just been to church who are trying to figure out what to do with their parents who may or may not be alive. And we're heading home, and we started praying, and we turned on a Michael W. Smith worship album, and we started praying. And God surrounded that car with peace. And little did I know that He surrounded that hospital with peace and His power and His grace. Because my dad was stabbed 17 times. My stepmother was stabbed like 19 times. They're beaten with a hammer, both of them. And they both lost more blood than anybody should who had any right to live. My stepmother, the surgeon said, I don't understand it. She's got a mark. She's got a stab on the back of her spine that punctured her lung. Said, and she's not paralyzed. And I mean, they were both hospitalized for a long time. They both pulled through, and they're both alive and well today. And I'm just telling you, when you pray, God will deliver. And that's why I want to urge people out there. We're talking about physical problems. God can do anything.
Wow.
And He taught me that at a very young age. And I still rebelled for like another decade after that. But God can do anything if you ask Him to. If you believe and you ask Him to and you pray, just make sure you put it out there, because He can heal you. And He can give you peace through it, and He can teach you lessons at the same time. So
That's one thing I said with my dad going, like, when I was praying, like I have an issue now with, like, the Lord is like, my dad, like you said, Elijah, when they say they're done, I didn't want to pray for my dad to keep on fighting. And I felt bad because I'm like, he's fought so hard. Right. And he's done. He like I don't want to pray for it and not happen and then be like, God, why didn't you give him back? You know, it was like I was really battling on all last week. Like, Lord, I know if I pray and ask you and I have the strength and the faith of a mustard seed, you'll give it to me. Right. But at the same time, our days are numbered when before we're born. Mm-hmm. God already knows that. It's just how you're going to live your life and the strength that you're going to do and what you're going to do in it. For one of the biggest things I've learned is for eternity. It's not for here. That truck might be somebody bought it for me, and I got a blessing out of over a year of that truck being used. And there's something else that God's shown me, whether it gets fixed or it doesn't. Like, there's something else, and we got to ask what He wants for us. And I don't know what it is, but that prayer, it was killing me because I wanted to pray so much for God to take everything from Him, but at the same time I was praying that He would go because it was His time.
Right. When they say I'm tired, I'm done, it means I'm done here. Mm-hmm. It means I'm done here. God's calling me to do something else. Mm-hmm. I got to go sit underneath Him and so He can tell me where He wants me to be, what He wants me to do. And had I not been brought up in the church and had what my mother would constantly tell me, had that not been echoing in my head, I would have been selfish and I would have wanted her to hold on and stay. But I know that when she left, it hurt. It still hurts. It hurts every day. I think about her every day. But like we said, she's not suffering no more. Your dad's not suffering anymore. He's not suffering. You might be walking around and your finger might hurt out of the blue. Dad, you're still messing around. Like, you never know. You know what I mean? So it's.
All right.
Sean's got to wrap us up now.
So I do want to go with a point of scripture that always gets me through during certain times and certain things. And it's really kind of hit me hard, like, with everything that's going on. And it's a promise from Jesus. It's in John 14, verses 12 to 14. Truly, truly, I say to you, whoever believes in me will also do the works that I do, and greater works than these will he do, because I am going to the Father. Whatever you ask in my name, this I will do, that the Father may be glorified in the Son. If you ask me anything in my name, I will do it. So we know that Jesus has given us the promise that anything, that He has sent the Spirit to help us to do greater things than even He did. As hard as that is to believe sometimes, but anything we ask in His name, He will do. So I'm going to go around the table. If anyone else has any more prayer requests, I'm going to come up on the screen real quick. We're going to start down the end of the table with the new guy. Bob, you got any prayer requests this week, other than the ones I don't already know?
I pray that those who don't know Jesus comes to find Him, because even if you've known Him before and you lost your way, finding them is legit. Finding them again is legitimately like being born again, because you get this energy, this burst of, you know, I have someone to call on that I can't physically touch, physically feel, physically see, but you know they're there. And that's an amazing feeling to have all over again. So I pray that people who don't know him come to him, and those who lost him come back.
Dave, what you got?
Well, it's not a big deal, but apparently Pete's really bad at volleyball. Maybe we just pray for that.
Pray for,
Chicken
legs.
legs or something. I don't know. I mean, we should probably pray for Tom. I think there's maybe
well,
more
that was
important.
already on the list.
Okay, let's pray for Tom, but also Pete for the volleyball thing.
Pete's volleyball.
Chicken
Some
wing.
muscle on his calves. That's for that.
Muscles on his calves.
You probably shouldn't. You don't pray for that. If he gets any stronger, he might actually lash out.
He might be able to dunk donuts.
Yeah, let's not
Because he
do
ain't
that.
dunking the basketball.
Let's just pray for Tom.
I don't know if he's coordinated enough to dunk a donut into a coffee cup. That's what I'm concerned
That's
with.
what I'm saying. Maybe an Oreo.
All right, we'll leave Pete off the board.
Okay.
Jay, what do you got?
I want to pray for, you know, of course, what you already know about, but prayer and the strength of this prodigal sons, what's all going on with us as we grow. Some things in the process of what we're discussing. Elijah being here helping us. Also, I really want to pray for Elijah. I know he's going through a lot right now also. And not just that, I know like him sitting there with his talking about church. I know one thing, it's COVID and stuff, but he hasn't been back either. And I'd like to see him.
I was here Sunday.
I wasn't. My dad passed, so
Okay.
I was going to say.
Oh, wow.
I was
Okay.
going to say that. Well, I was going to say next was
Okay.
one of the things I you know why I didn't come was for the fact.
He sat next to me.
The reason I didn't come was because
My daughter farted,
and
and he was there. He smelled it.
Why did Daddy smell? Why isn't he sitting?
Oh,
It was awful. It was while Pastor Pete was praying.
Did you waft it his way?
No, he's sitting right behind us. Pastor Pete was
This
praying.
has
It was
been
nice
awful.
and quiet.
This went way off track.
My Abigail Grace vibrated the pew, and it smelled so bad.
No, hey.
Sometimes the little ones that always do the
No,
most
I
damage.
think it's all the blueberries.
She looked guilty.
But he was there. I saw
I
him.
wanted to say was I didn't want to come in here because it would have been too hard because everybody that was giving the condolences of my dad passing and not being able to hug people.
I understand that.
And hug people and stuff. And I'll be honest with you, it was too emotional.
I understand that.
But I do know I miss you, and like and when I do not come, I feel a loss. Even though Pete really is not the greatest of pastors, we do have a good time at church around him. But
When I watch it online, and because he's up there, I mute it, so I just watch it.
yeah,
so I
just
don't
watch
have to hear
because you don't want to hear him.
Keep your own
Oh, here he goes. Yes.
All right, he's
All right,
definitely
go
got an
ahead.
extension.
He's asking that we pray that he turns into Chuck Norris and can knock us all to the floor.
Well,
He-
Chuck Norris just passed away from COVID, didn't he? So we don't want to pray him for him. to be Chuck
No,
Norris.
I'm pretty sure
Was
COVID
that
was
fake?
scared of
Was
Chuck
it-
Norris.
Was it a fake one? Then
I don't
fake
know.
news?
Nothing
Fake
can
news?
kill Chuck Norris.
Go ahead.
Fake news. Yeah, Pete, that's not happening. Just so you know. So tonight, I'm going to ask for prayer for my aunt, Lucy Gonzalez. Just what she's dealing with. She's found out she's got cancer and it's spread, and but we know the Lord can heal. So I'll be praying for that tonight.
I'm going to pray for Tom's spelling.
So, yeah, he,
It's one S in bus when you're getting thrown under it, bud.
and he put amen, AME.
Yeah. Oh,
No,
man.
he was getting halfway there.
Jeez.
All right.
He's losing it. He's getting too much taken out of his throat.
Lord, you told us in Scripture that anything we ask in your name, you can do. So, Lord, we're asking, we're boldly proclaiming in your name for healing for both Tom and Betty, who are up in Paoli right now, that you would be with them. For DT Lucy, that you would have the doctors find and treat and bring her around from what she's going through. For the tests that are out there waiting for answers on. Lord, for the lost. Lord, because we know that being with you is so much better
Yeah,
than being with the world.
that's right.
We know that you can heal that you can love and that you can protect. Even when we don't feel like we can do it ourselves, Lord. We know you have that all under control. So, Lord, be with us. We've all been going through it the last couple of weeks. Mentally, physically, spiritually. We know you've brought this together for a reason, Lord. But right now, we need you to be in it. Right here with us. In all of these situations that are trying to distract us and divide us and break us apart, Lord. And not just here. Not just on this stage. Not just in Royersford. Not just in Pennsylvania. Not just in the United States. But around the world, Lord. There are so many things trying to drive people away from you. Lord, let us shine your light. Let us show your grace. Let us be your love. Jesus, we ask all of these things in your holy and precious name. Amen.
Amen.
See you guys.
Never.
Later. Thanks for joining us. Come back next week. Hopefully we'll have Tom back. We should have Tom back unless he's out there getting us more ice cream, which might be a real need.
I think he should bring milkshakes. Does he do milk? Yeah, he should bring milkshakes.
Would you want his
At
Butterfinger?
least crepes. Anyway, bring a few crepes.
No,
Yeah.
because if Emily isn't making them and they're not fresh off the
Oh, there's
whatever contraption,
Don't worry about All right, Tom. Next week, Tuesday night, 7 p.m., episode 14. We're going to need like half a dozen crepes each, probably, and a milkshake. Put Butterfinger in mine. It's wonderful.
I like the Heath bar in it. Heath bar's pretty good.
Heath bar for Sean, Butterfinger for me.
plain vanilla.
Love you guys. Have a great week.
Have a
Bye-bye.
great week.
Love you all.
Thanks for having me.